This is a topic that's going to be boring and pointless to people that have been here, are here, but to people that are planning on coming, based on numerous questions I've received on this topic, we're gonna try to hit it. And I'll give a little disclaimer. There's going to be a certain number of trolls and know-it-alls that are going to chime in about, oh, that's not right, I can find this for that, I can do that. Yeah, maybe, sure, probably. But if I were to give you a rundown of all the rents and all the differences and all the locations, we could do this for hundreds of hours, and I'm not about to do that. So I'm going to generalize, and in generalized terms, I'm going to try to be as accurate as possible. You could pick it apart and find flaws, but here's the point. The point isn't to talk to people that are here. The point is to talk to people that are coming and try to give the best advice and give them some idea of what to expect. In that framework, this should work pretty well for them. Rents in Cuenca and the surrounding area. First of all, I'm going to give you my advice. Don't rent when you first get here. And certainly don't rent before you come. Come here, stay somewhere reasonable that you can research. There's plenty of places you can find for $300 a month. Spend a month or two or even three getting to know the area, deciding where you want to live, if Cuenca is where you want to be. It seems that everybody that comes here has a romantic vision of living in El Centro, in the Old Town District. And once they get here, maybe they don't like the bumper-to-bumper traffic and the noise and the stink from the buses and all the things that go on there. And so maybe they look for something in a little different area. You don't know until you've been here and you've had a chance to look around and get the feel for places, so don't get here and dive in. Now, I did that, but I did it specifically for a reason. I had a pretty major operation before I came. I jumped on an airplane 3 days later against the orders of the doctor. I just wasn't willing to wait anymore. And I came here sick as a dog, knowing it was going to be some months before I could really recover enough to get around that much. And so I lined up an agent to find some places. So when I got here, they took me around, and by the time I saw the third place, I said, that's it. Not because it was my dream home, not because I had intention of staying there forever, but because I'd had enough. I needed a place to put the bags, I needed to rest and recoup, I was exhausted, the place was nice enough, and so that's good enough, and when the lease is over, by then I'll know where I want to be. People generally aren't going to have that kind of situation, so don't do that unless you have to do that. Now, there's 3 ways to find an apartment. One, you can go on the internet and look at various websites, and there's a bunch of them. But most of those websites, the prices are greatly inflated. I'll see prices for $700, $750 when I know you can get the same type of place for $400 or $500. So those are specifically targeting people that don't know any better, and they're moving here and they're used to looking on the internet. You know, they know that's how we would do that in the States, but that's not really how it's done here. The second way is you can get an agent, and I think that's a great idea. I got an agent when I came here, Brandon Alexandra. It was really useful, particularly in my situation. You can get somebody who's local. In my case, Brandon was a transplant after he's been here 5 years, going on 6 from the US, but she's from Cuenca. So I get the best of both worlds there. An agent can help you a lot. save you a lot of leg work. But if you come here and if you're retired in particular, you don't really need to worry about leg work. And the third way is to network and walk around. How do local people find places? They basically tell everybody they know that they're looking, and they go out and walk. Because a lot of places are put up for rent with little cardboard signs on the outside with a phone number to call. And that's how locally most rentals take place. So those are 3 ways to do it. And okay, another thing to consider is whether you want furnished or unfurnished. Now, furnished sounds like it's going to be useful. It sounds like a good idea. But I'll tell you, after looking at a number of places, most of the furnished apartments have a lot of furniture that you don't really want to sit on. It's not really that comfortable. Again, my situation, I had to do that. I didn't have a lot of choice. But within a few months, I was already moving out the furniture. The landlord was taking it away for me as I was substituting with my own, you know, planning on my future. And had I come here with the way I give you the advice, you can line up that furniture while you're looking so that when you move, you can go and have your own stuff. It doesn't take very long before the difference between furnished and unfurnished, which typically is about $150, will buy you an awful lot of stuff. Maybe a partial furnished. There's some places that have that. What that means basically is there's going to be appliances. And then beds you can pick up cheap. $200–300 will get you a pretty nice bed, mattress set, that kind of thing. Living room furniture, you can find $500 to $1,000 if you shop around, look for it. So that's something you want to consider. Now, location is a big thing. It is, it's always, no matter where you are. And like I mentioned, a lot of people want to go to El Centro because that's the romantic vision. Those beautiful buildings, the cobblestone paved roads, and all of that sort of thing. But there's a lot of downside to it. A lot of the apartments are not the best of apartments, so you're going to sacrifice the location of being downtown for an iffy kind of apartment. That may not matter to you, maybe it does. They're going to be older style, which is okay. Some of them are beautiful that way, some of them are just kind of small and cramped. So that's going to be hit and miss. You're really going to have to search those out. Some of those are going to be on the 3rd floor, 4th floor, no elevator. That could get to be a pain. You go shopping, you've got furniture, you're trying to move things. It could really be a pain. So another thing to consider. But in El Centro area, rents are going to run around a low of about $350, and that's going to be really hard to find, to maybe $1,200–1,500. And yes, I know there's a few things that are more than that, but I'm trying to give a ballpark range. Typically, to have a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath, reasonably modern, in a halfway decent location, it's probably going to be $500 to $700. Now, there's other areas that are Gringolandia, for example. It's basically where a lot of expats go. There's a number of high-rises. There's expat business, various services. That's going to run $500 to $1,500, depending on the building you're in and what kind of facilities they have. You could go around the Mall del Rio area. There's some nice little houses in that area, in particular, some apartments, and that's going to usually be $300 to $500. Control Sur, which is like Las Americas, Coral Central. That area has a number of 6 to 10 floor high rises. There's some houses and that kind of thing, and it's pretty convenient. That's going to be about $350 to $500. Areas outside of Cuenca, that can be considered, but you're going to have to get here and look around. Towns like Azogues, which is half an hour, 40 minutes, I believe, north of Cuenca. I've been there, I don't know, 8-10 times, but I don't remember exactly how long. $1 by bus. And it's a pretty good sized little town. I would guess there's maybe 50 to 100,000 people there. Lots of services. Rents around there are around $200 to $400 for a pretty nice place. Tarqui is a good place, just south of Cuenca, $300 to $500 range. Hit home where I live, it's a half hour, 40 minutes. There's also the Don Bosco area. There's a super maxi there. It's a pretty main road. Everybody knows the road. You can jump on Loja, which is a crossroad, and it runs you right into town. By the way, one thing to notice when you're looking at various ads that you're going to see is take with a grain of salt when they say a 5-minute walk to El Centro, a 10-minute walk to El Centro. I've yet to see those be even close to accurate. When they say a 5-minute walk, they mean a 5-minute taxi ride, maybe a 20-minute walk. And so when they say that, maybe you're going to find one that's true, but for the most part, it's simply not realistic. Also, as you're going to El Centro, they leave off the fact that you're going to be climbing a pretty steep hill from most parts of the city. The type of place you're going to live, there's basically, you've got your apartments, you've got your high-rise, and you've got houses. Now, I lived in a high-rise on the 7th floor when I came here. I am now living in a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house. Apartments are always an option. But that's something you'll also want to consider, and that's another reason why you might want to wait until you get here. Making these choices without really doing the lay of the land, you're going to do it based on your experience of what you know from where you're coming from. And it simply won't apply here. What you think is good and glamorous might be your version of a living hell. Also, take into account the dogs. Now, you're not going to, when you go in the daytime to look at these properties, you won't generally see too much. But you might want to cruise by 10, 11 o'clock at night sometime and see what's going on, because there is a series, I make jokes about it in a number of these videos, but there are a lot of areas in Cuenca that have at night packs of 20 to 40 dogs, mostly street dogs, roaming the neighborhoods, raising all kinds of noise. And I really, on the 7th floor, I had a really difficult time sleeping. Most nights I was lucky if I got 2 or 3 hours. So when I moved out here, at first there were no dogs. But when I moved out here, I was sleeping 8 hours, no problem. The lower elevation also helped. Now out here, the dogs have been growing pretty quickly. But fortunately, they do all their barking pretty much in the daytime, and at night it's mostly quiet. So I still don't really have any problem sleeping, and during the day, it's kind of background noise and I ignore it. The last thing I'll mention about the rents is the terms. Now they're gonna want usually a year lease. The leases are pretty basic, pretty standard, but there's a lot of flexibility. In Cuenca, some of the places are going to want a deposit, and the deposit might be as much as a month's rent. Now, I suppose there's places that might want more. You don't really see that. And very often, it might only be a couple $100 or even none. Now, when you get to the outlying areas, I don't know if they even know what a deposit is. They just basically, it's the rent, and that's it, and you don't worry about it. Also with the buildings, there's a building fee usually attached to it. It might be $50, $70, and that's for community costs for your 24-hour security guard, any amenities they might have, if there's a swimming pool or something like that. So you're going to pay into that. So if your rent, say $500, it might actually be $550, $560 with a building fee. You're going to have electric costs, I don't know, $20, $30 a month maybe. You're going to have an internet cost that's probably going to run you about $50 or so. It can go up to over $100. And gas, my gas, I spend $4 or $5 a month, so it's almost nothing. Water can run $15, $20 a month. You can figure that your internet, electric, and all those utilities are going to cost you about $100 plus whatever the building and the building fee is. When I was in Cuenca, I was spending about $1,000 for rent, utility, etc. Out here, I'm spending less than $500. I mentioned this before, I didn't even know that when I came. I chose this area after about 20 visits, and then I got a local real estate guy and started looking to find the house I wanted. And that's when I found out that the rents are crazy cheap. There's also some places, if you want to go farther out, south of here, you can go to San Fernando. It's kind of up in the mountains and there's a lake there. Santa Rosa, which is another half hour or so south. Well, you go through Ungiya Valley and it's at the base of that. Ungiya Valley is a beautiful place to go. It's a little lower elevation, it's warm, there's some tropical fruit type thing. You can find places where you can have nice gardens. But those rents have come up, and you're probably going to spend what you would spend in Cuenca in some of the nicer areas. So you might be in the country, but you'll be 45 minutes to an hour out of the city. In a lot of cases, you're going to want to get a car, which is a whole other set of expenses and problems. But that's an option. Hope this helps. I had plenty of people asking me for this, and I'm glad it's over. This is going to be the most boring topic in the world. And for those who suffered through it, that already know this stuff, I warned you in the beginning. Happy New Year.
You know you could.